What if I told you that one nation is already planning to build a city on the moon? Not just a small base, not just a few astronauts visiting for it, but a permanent settlement with power station, research laboratories, mining operation, and eventually hundreds of people living there. And that nation is China. The race to the moon has returned, but this time it is not about planting a flag. It is about building the first extraterrestrial civilization. Could China really build a city on the moon? And what would that mean for the future of humanity? Let's find out. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union fought the first space race. America won when astronauts landed on the moon in 1969, but today a new race has begun. This time, the competition includes America, China, India, private companies, and many other nations. And China has made one thing very clear: they intend to establish a long term presence on the moon. This is not science fiction anymore. It is an official goal supported by decades of planning and technological development. China lunar program has advanced rapidly. The Chang'e missions have successfully orbited, landed, and explored the moon. In 2019, China became the first country in history to land a spacecraft on the far side of the moon. That achievement shocked the world because the far side is much more difficult to reach and communicate with. Then in 2020, China successfully brought lunar samples back to Earth. Only a few nations have ever achieved that. Each mission has been another step towards much larger goal, a permanent lunar base. China and Russia has proposed the International Research Station, often called ILRS. The vision is ambitious. They want to create a permanent scientific base near the moon's south pole. Why the south pole? Because scientists believe that water ice exists there. Water is incredibly valuable in space. It can provide drinking water. It can be split into hydrogen and oxygen for rocket fuel. And oxygen can even help astronauts breathe. In other words, where there is water, there can be a long-term settlement. But building a city on the moon is one of the hardest engineering challenges in human history. The moon has no breathing atmosphere. Temperature can swing from extreme heat to extreme cold. Radiation levels are dangerous. Meteorites constantly strike the surface. So, how could a lunar city survive? Scientists are exploring several ideas: underground habitats, domes covered with lunar soil for radiation protection, 3D printing buildings made from Munda's solar power station providing continuous energy, robots constructing infrastructure before human can even arrive. Future lunar cities may look more like underground science colonies than the skyscrapers we see on Earth, but they could still become humanity first of world civilization. The moon is not just a scientific destination, it may also contain valuable resources, water, ice, rare minerals, metals, and possibly large amounts of helium-3, a material some scientists believe could one day be useful for future fusion energy technologies. If these resources can be extracted economically, the moon could become a major industrial hub in space. Instead of launching everything from Earth, the future such spacecraft might be built and refueled directly on the moon. That would dramatically reduce the cost of exploring the solar system. China has announced plans to land astronauts on the moon before 2030. After that, robotic systems and human missions could begin building permanent infrastructure. By the 2030s and 2040s, lunar research stations may expand into larger settlements, and by the second half of the century, human beings might truly live permanently on the moon. Perhaps not thousands at first, but maybe hundreds. Engineers, scientists, miners, doctors, teachers, the first generation of lunar residents. A moon city is not the final destination. It could have been become humanity gateway to Mars and beyond. The moon weaker gravity makes launching spacecraft much easier than launching from Earth. Future missions to Mars might depart from lunar spacecraft. In that sense, the moon could become the first stepping stone towards becoming an interplanetary species. China's lunar ambitions are changing the future of space exploration. Whether China becomes the first nation to build a moon city or not, one thing is certain: humanity is entering a new era, an era where cities may no longer exist only on Earth. The question is no longer if humans will live on the moon. The real question is who will build the city there. China, America, or all of humanity together. And would you live on the moon if you had the chance? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more incredible studies and the future of humanity and space exploration because the next giant leap may be permanent. Thank you.